He went at home after the seminar. Next day in the morning, he asked him, how was it? And he said to him, it was so fantastic because for about years, he had again contact with his daughter.
Wow.
And I was, when I tell the story, I still have, I'm quite touched with it because this is what PCM is about.
Hi, this is your Project Management Cowboy coming back to you with a new topic. One of the recent podcasts that we did with a psychologist, and we talked about personality types. That was not a sponsored event. None of our podcasts are sponsored in the sense that we're trying to sell you anything. Our job is to kind of provide you, when you're searching for methodologies and tools, access information to make better decisions of whether or not this methodology might work for you in your situation. In the kind of extended universe of talking about developing leadership in your project teams, your program teams, or even in your line organizations, we've dedicated a couple of our podcasts to the subject matter of personality traits, although I think Uwe, who's our guest today, will probably object to the wording, but he'll be able to say something about that. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Uwe Reiner-Kolouch. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, correct. Good. And we're going to be talking about PCM, which stands for?
Process Communication Model.
Okay. So for those of you out there that have never heard of this before, don't feel bad. We're not just going to give you a good summary of what it is, but we're going to kind of get into the nitty-gritty and give you an idea of what value it might provide you in your team development, your communication, and in that wonderful word collaboration. Okay? Uwe, welcome.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm happy to have you. What we kind of always do at the beginning of our podcasts, I'm always a big fan. When I look at podcasts, I want to know who is this person, right? Yeah. Before you give all the world's wisdoms away, it would be kind of interesting to know what your background is so that people can kind of gauge where do you come from, what is your background, how did you ever get into this topic, so they can kind of get a feeling for you. Okay. I call it the passion journey.
The passion journey.
Wonderful terminology. Go ahead and let us know a little bit about yourself.
The passion journey, yeah. I'm quite passionate about PCM, okay, but it was a journey to get there. So I'm originated from Austria. I'm from Styria, and it happened to be that I studied industrial engineering in Vienna.
So you just studied something serious before you got into PCM.
Yeah. So I always say I studied the things that you really need when dealing with human beings.
Yes. Okay.
Industrial engineering. Yeah. So, as you can imagine, with industrial engineering, there's not a lot of lessons about how to deal with people. So I focused on quality management. I was part of an auditing organization, and then I stepped into the Yellow Pages business as a quality manager. First job, quite enthusiastic, and there I realized, making audits and conducting audits is all about communication, dealing with distress, and I was not prepared for this. Okay. So, but I learned a lot about people, and what I didn't know so far, I did my civil services before with the Red Cross in Vienna. Mm-hmm. So I transported people from the hospital home to the ambulatorium and back home. And what I didn't know, this was a boot camp for communication, 11-month boot camp.
If I can just interject for those of you who are not familiar with Austria, Austria has a mandatory military service of, I think, 8 months.
8 months, no, I don't.
7 months, 8 mons, something like that. And you can also opt out and do civil service, which is what you did.
Yes.
My sons also did civil service, so you drove for the Red Cross.
Yes. So, and it was a real boot camp for communication because you have to get some sense in the job that you're doing. And my goal was to have a good contact with the people I accompanying from the hospital at home, from after a surgery. There were people from the old people from the, how do you call this, the Altersheim,
from the pensioners home.
Pensioners home, and to get a contact and make the stay in our car as nice as possible.
So different walks of life.
Yeah.
Right. Different levels of distress.
Definitely.
Different levels of cognitive awareness, probably.
Definitely.
Okay.
And but I was not aware that this was a cool boot camp for communication. I was aware later on. because I was offered a human resource job in this Yellow Pages company. Why? Because I asked my boss, I say, why are you offering this job to me? Because I don't have any contact with human resources. And he told me the following things, and I remember them back quite well, because he told me, he said, Uwe, you know all the processes in the house, because I was auditing all the processes. You have a good contact with the people, and the rest you have to learn.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if he trusts me, I will do it. And then I started with this HR business, and I really stepped in a complete new world, dealing with people in an organization, with managers, with employees, with this work law stuff and things. I was really interested. And then I detected when you deal with organizations, there are similar patterns compared to the technical systems that you're developing.
Because you're referring to a term that's often used. People often refer to the system, but most people don't understand what they're referring to. It's that wonderful yin-yang between there's the technical side, there's the process side, there's the thing side, there's the facilities, the processes, the standard operating procedures. But the most dominating form is the human dynamic form, and that's the other factor.
And it's a system as well.
Yeah, and it's part of the system.
Yeah, and the patterns are quite similar. And I was astonished because I realized this because I did a coaching, education, organizational development, and things like that, and I fell into a complete new world. And I was really passionate about working with people, with human beings in an organization. Why they are doing this stuff? Why they are going to the same job all day long? So 24 hours a day, normally they are working for the company. So, and I was so fascinated, and I learned a lot about cultures because I had different management styles in our company, because I started with an Austrian management style, a private-owned company. Then there was a Swedish management. As you can imagine, the Swedish management culture is a little bit different, avoiding conflicts and very superficial democratic style. And then they sold the company to Verizon, an US business. So
that's a big shift.
What's happened? And so I also getting to contact with different cultures, and this was I'm so fascinated by the different ways of motivating people, of creating environments that people are motivated in. And there was one crucial employee survey that we did, and there were two managers who were best. The good thing is I was one of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is the other one was the finance director, and he was a complete opposite personality than I was, with a complete different management style. And I asked myself the question, why the hell is he getting so good results?
Okay, interesting.
And then I asked his managers, I said, why the hell are you voting so good for this person? He said, do you know what? Yes, he may be a little bit loud sometimes. He was shouting. You can hear him across the offices. But what he is doing, you always know what he is doing, and you can calculate him. So you can assume what will be the next decision.
He's predictable.
He's
predictable. He's reliable. He's authentic.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is also a quality that's very important. You can talk about the style. I have a different one, but I was so fascinated. Hey, there must be different ways to roam that are successful. And